All right, welcome, Ed. It's so good to see you again. It's a few months ago since we met in Penang, Malaysia. Had a really good time at the seminar there. So, welcome. How are you? And where in the world are you right now?
Thank you, Bjorn. Yes, it was. It seemed like a lifetime ago back in Penang. I can't believe it was only December. I'm just outside London in the UK. It's nice and sunny here for a change today. It's been really cloudy and horrible for the last few days, but the sun has come out for this interview, which is amazing. But it's only 3 degrees outside, and I'm sure where you are, it's a lot warmer than that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's nice. It's like probably 30, 32 degrees outside, I think now. But we have had massive amounts of rain the last couple of months, unusual amount of rain, which is very surprising for Singapore. But now, after Chinese New Year, it is hot. But I love it. You can go out in the middle of the night, shorts and t-shirt, and it's just like 30 degrees, you know?
Yeah, I know. I missed that. When I was in Penang, it was great. It was just go out. It was warm. It was fantastic. It's yeah.
All right, so Ed, I'm very curious. I'm so happy to have you on because your life is very, very interesting. And I spoke with you briefly at the seminar, and you shared a little bit about your life, about your personal journey. And you're an actor. You've accomplished so many things in your life. I was reading an article about you just before this, and I was like, I can't keep up with all the things that you've done. Like it's very interesting. Like you have a wide range of experience in so many different areas. So
Mm.
for our viewers that are listening, do you want to share a little bit about what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your coaching and the personal development a little bit later, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What I'm doing at the moment is I've kind of got two strands to my bow. One is my acting and filmmaking, which I really enjoy, and it's something I've kind of come back to more in recent years. I got the bug when I was about 7. I actually wandered onto the set of Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo in Monte Carlo, and I guess it stuck then, but I never kind of realized it until my later years, and I absolutely love it now. But it is one of those industries that is very fluid with its dates. Sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not. So, in the rest of the time, I'm actually developing my personal development side, my coaching, training, and speaking business, which I've got set up. I'm writing a book that goes along with that as well, which really kind of goes through the framework that I use and really giving back a lot of my business acumen that I've developed over the years from both working in corporates and running my own companies. So it's kind of giving back to anybody who needs that help and get some transformation.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really, really good. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting. But you okay? How did you walk onto the set? I mean, like at what age 7? Like in Monte Carlo, right? Like how did that
Yes.
happen?
I was on holiday with parents, and we were just down there visiting and wandering around and exploring the south of France. And we went over to Monte Carlo, walking around. Absolutely loved it there. And literally, we're just walking along the beachfront, walked around a corner, and on this big roundabout, there was this basically on location set. So you had all the actors, you had the different cars there from the movie, obviously Herbie as well, the lights, the C stands, the directors, the production, everybody was there. And it was just this bustling mini micro village of activity and life. And it just seemed sort of happy and joyous. I guess it helped being in the summer in the sun in Monte Carlo. What's not to like? But there was just something there that was magical that kind of stuck with me. And I guess I took that on. I went to the film club at school, so we were always watching and analysing the old movies. I ran my own immersive theatre troupe for about 12 years. Um, and so I kind of was in and around the business, but more on the theatre side for quite a while, in parallel with my day job, which was project management and software development. Um, and it's just kind of always been there. Stories are kind of my DNA, I guess.
So you always felt this, okay, you always had a talent for that, right? It was just a natural thing for
Yeah.
acting. You were in school, like that was kind of something you were always involved in the plays and all the things that went about.
Well, yes and no. I was that shy kid. I didn't like to be the main actor. So I always tended to lean more to production. So I would always be in the wings, setting up, organizing, planning, structuring, supporting, putting the events on. And I guess I took that through and started running my own events and own theatrical things. So I would always be more the producer director. And kind of as it developed, I then stepped into playing different roles within the productions. Sometimes it was needed. We had one production. We were doing a 5 night run for Halloween, and one of my main actors, he was playing H.R. Geiger's Alien. Unfortunately, on the first night, he tripped over and got concussion, so I had to step in and do the 5 night run in his place. He's absolutely fine, but there was things that can go wrong on productions that you don't expect.
Oh man, that is that. So then you just, but the script, what to say, how do you do that? Like, to me, that would be, I would freak out. I don't know what I would say or like, how do you do that? Did you know the script so well then you could just step in and do it?
Fortunately for that part, it was a physical part
Mhm.
because he was an alien monster. There was no speaking, and it was because it was an interactive theatre or
Mhm.
immersive theatre, as we call it now. You're very much led by what the people do. So
Uh,
you react to them, and they react to you, and then you kind of build up this scene. It was a very simple scene, and there was a like a the military guy would come round and clear me out to basically end the scene. So it was very, very simple. So you just have to roll with it. Obviously, some things when there is a script, you you've just got to learn fast. And sometimes you just have to kind of improvise and work your way around it and do the best that you can, particularly in an immersive theatre and a very live event like that. But once you're doing film and TV recording, you've normally got a bit of time to prepare and remember the script normally, not always, but you just have to do it. And the more you do it, it's like a muscle, it becomes trained. When I first started learning scripts and lines, it used to take me an absolute age to remember it, internalize it, get it into the memory. And learning lines is only kind of 10% because you've then got all the physicality, the emotion, and then the interactivity with the other people on screen. But now I've actually trained that muscle and I can learn scripts relatively quickly. So
Interesting. That is very interesting. So, because this stuff that I've never, done any acting like that. I always wonder, how do you memorize it? Is there like a framework to make it easier for you to be able to stand on stage? Because I don't know. I'd love to hear more about that. But can you share us just some secrets or some tips on? Because I met you, you're very confident. You stand there, you're relaxed. We all drawn to you because of the presence that you have, and it's like you're obviously a leader, and you've successful. You've done all this for many years now, but just your presence. Can you share like on stage? Yesterday I did a training. We had translation to Vietnamese to Chinese. It was like a lot of people from all over the world, but I didn't control the room very well. So I
mm.
would love just some tips. When you stand up front, what are some insights that you've developed or that you can share with us that to like almost control the room or to manage it with your presence? And what do you do in such certain situations when things maybe go wrong or not according to what you had planned or whatever? Like how can you just share some tips for somebody like me who's doesn't have the skill set developed that you have yet?
Sure. I guess that the really the one key thing is stay calm. And it's really having that center in yourself. Um, it's the place that everything else comes from. And that's something I've kind of developed over the years. And again, it's part of me, a little bit of a Zen-like centeredness, that having that calmness and that stillness, people immediately look at you as like, oh, okay, you know what's going on, because you're not flustered. Sometimes you can get flustered, and you sometimes need to take that moment of like, hang on, step back, breathe. Okay, five, four, three, two, one. Okay, I'm back. Right. Or you might need a moment to think about something that's just gone completely left field that you weren't expecting. But if you just dive in and become chaotic like the situation, you often perpetuate the problem. Whereas sometimes you just need to kind of say, okay, let's take a break, take a moment, let's look at the way this should be. Okay, let's do this. And I think it all comes from that. And again, part of the acting training is about that. It's finding that stillness, that place in you where that character comes from. So, in a way, I can borrow from that training, being on stage, and go, okay, I'm now on stage, I'm leading the room. I need to be centered. So, it's planting your feet so you stand solidly. Having that presence, which again, you need in acting, you have to be totally aware of what the other actors are doing around you and what's going on in the scene, just like you are subconsciously in any environment that you're in normally. You'll hear a sound, you'll know what it is, you'll know how to react. But having that presence is like you're there with the audience and you connect with them, you look at them in the eyes. It's certainly initially when you go up on stage, and you create that sense of we're all here together, and I understand my responsibility standing up in front of you is to guide, to lead you in whatever it happens to be, whether you're emceeing an event or whether you're actually delivering the keynote. And then it's that is the initial moment that is kind of the foundation, the seed that kind of pulls everyone in. And then after that, it's having the tonality, the structure, and certainly what we learned on the program, certain key pieces that help you rapidly kind of connect everyone together as a whole. Does that
So
help?
yeah, no, it helps. The thing is, getting to that place, right? Is that can everyone develop that, learn that? Because you seem to me as somebody who's probably that's a natural thing, or you've always kind of been like that. So people are kind of drawn to that. So it's easier for you, but for other people, maybe like me who get more flustered, um, how would I find that place when there's tons of people in the room or chaotic, or is this something I have to prepare before I get on stage and be like, this is what it's gonna be like? Okay, and here I'm here, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can learn it. Some people it might take a bit more work, and some people might have a natural talent for it. I was certainly the nervous newbie a long time ago. I got dropped in it about 20 odd years ago. I was working for a company, I was a management consultant, and somebody dropped out and they said, right, you've got a 20-minute slot in a week's time for our international European conference, 400 people in the room. You're going to talk about this. You've got a week, off you go. And I was absolutely nervous as hell. I was not the guy you see now. Literally, someone like picked me up, dropped me on stage, and went, off you go. And I was like, oh my God. Um,
I
so
know
it
the feeling, yeah.
totally can be learned. So I've been through that transformation from the not really sure what I'm doing, why am I here, sort of imposter syndrome, through to the comfortable, confident, okay, you can put me in front of people, and I have that journey that I've been through that I can bring, okay, I've got this. So absolutely can be learned. A few little things that some speakers do before going on stage. They do like a little bit of a physical workout, jumping jacks, just bring the energy up so that they have, and it gets rid of the nerves. It takes the nerves away because doing some kind of physical exercise relaxes the body. It could just be jumping on the spot, simple things like that. It gets some of those nerves out of the way. So once you walk on stage, you have that time as you walk across to take your deep breaths, just to calm yourself down and get your whole center. Then plant yourself in the center, take a couple of breaths, take nice slow breaths while you're looking at everybody. And that really can help you bring that together. And some of it is just practice. Just stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself, or record yourself preparing, rehearsing, and then look at it back and be critical and go, I was standing a bit funny there. I need to center myself more. Okay, I need to stand. Okay, my shoulders are a bit weak. Okay, I need to bring those up. And just doing that little bit of rehearsal can bring you from not having the right posture just to having the right posture. And that shift in posture can do 80% of the work for you.
Hmm. Wow, wow. Well, this is very helpful, isn't it? So this is the stuff that you teach, I'm sure as well. So when you're in a room and you have all these people looking at you, like what like projecting your voice? Do you have any tips on how to do this to just to get everyone's to bring everyone's attention in, and then just yeah, just not necessarily managing in a room, but the way you posture, way you carry yourself, deliver things. You say you look people in the eye. Um, any tips on just stage presence or how to deliver a message or something like that while you're on that stage?
This is where it gets into, because I've been doing it for a while, I slip into a bit of intuitive mode. Because now going back and having to analyze it, I'm like, what do I do again? I don't remember. I just do. But that's the stage of, you go through the sort of unconscious unknowing, conscious unknowing that all the way through to eventually going, I got this, which is the normal journey. I think it's really just for me, it's staying centered, staying present, and just being aware of what's going on in the room because part of me is delivering the message, and there's a little bit of my brain that's sitting in the background watching what's going on, going, oh, that didn't land right. No, that wasn't right. Okay, what's going on over there? Someone's fidgety. That section of the room's starting to get a bit, okay, what can I do to do it? And then obviously the more you get familiar with your program or what you're doing, sometimes you can throw in a pattern interrupt just to try and everyone's like, oh, hang on, we're back. Whatever it is. Yeah, but I think it's really having that presence and that contact. So if you are throwing out periodic questions, which you should be, like how many of you find that it's much easier to work on a sunny day than it is, whatever, it's very simple questions. You start to get that engagement, you start to bring people back in. So it's really having that sort of question response periodically that keeps people engaged. You're going to lose some people. Not everyone's going to stay on board. But obviously, if you do have someone ask you a question, it's connecting with them as if almost as if they're the only person in the room, but being aware that you're not just answering their question. There could be 30% of the room having exactly the same issue, that you're also responding to others and maybe bringing them in. Like they might ask you a question, it could be anything, it could be a business technical issue about marketing or something. And then you can ask, well, how many of you also feel this way in the room? So you kind of include everybody in your conversation, but you're still making it very focused to them. So they're not feeling like they're just some random person standing up in a room. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And and also what I'm hearing is as well is it just kind of struck me. I've spoken to some other people on these interviews that we do as well, and what struck me is that they're very aware of what's going on around them,
Mm,
more than I would say the average person. So when I talk to them, they can point things out, like in the room, like there are two things going on, what they're saying and what they're doing, but they're also very aware of everything else happening. And because of they're aware of that, they're able to step back, breathe, and then be like, address that issue or that issue. And I think some of us who are more on me would be like just so focused on like what I'm going to say or teach or whatever that I forget about even being aware of that. And so you miss out the whole thing. So what I'm hearing is like you're very, very aware. And because of that, you can be centered and then you can address and deal with those things. And like I said, you probably just like you said, it takes practice, and the more you do it, you better you get at it,
yeah,
and be
100%.
comfortable. But you're right, like if just being centered in the beginning, that's the main thing. And because you can't be aware, or you can't be present, you can't be, you know, conscious of all those things unless if you're all over the place. So, anyways, cool. Well, I'm very curious. I would love for you to share a little bit. If you have anything from your childhood or what it's like growing up, and to share as well. I know share a little bit about introduced to acting, but I want to hear, I'd love to hear you sharing more about what happened to you and everything changed a few years ago when you had
Mm.
a medical condition. So, if you want to share a little bit about that transformation, because that's a big deal. And your whole life is transformed, and now you're doing something very different than what you were doing, which is very, very exciting. You're helping people grow through personal development, through coaching. And I mean, I'm learning just from hearing you now, but I'd love to hear a little bit about what you were like, what your life was like, what your mindset was like, and then this huge change and how that has impacted the next years of your life.
Yeah, it's something I've written about a little bit on my blog and in the book I'm working on at the moment to go along with the coaching is, yeah, beginning of 2020, you're absolutely right. I had a medical condition. I had a hemorrhagic stroke, which was a bleed in the brain. And I'm very lucky that I'm still here. Thank goodness for that. And thanks to the NHS, the health service in the UK, for kind of looking after me and responding quickly and getting me through. Prior to that, I was running a group of restaurants and built those up from nothing over a period of about 15 years. And that life basically burnt me out. I was working 7 days a week, non-stop, no days off, and it was just quite a grueling schedule. And basically, my body just said, enough, you're done. And it was really that moment that kind of was the wake up call over the period of probably a year, I guess it took me to get the strength back and kind of get back to semi-normality. I was like, I'm doing this, I'm good at it, but it doesn't have that passion, I guess, that there's something missing. Um, and it was really that time that I thought to myself, there's all these things that I started off doing when I was younger, like the theatre work, the writing, the production, and all the event management, the themed events, and everything that I used to do that I really enjoyed. And some of that I was doing with the restaurants through the catering side, organizing events for people. Some of them really big logistics side, sort of catering 13,000 people. And that side was much more exciting for me rather than the kind of the day-to-day routine. And it gave me that thought of like, well, if not now, then when? And reflecting on things like the top regrets of the dying, it's like, do I want to be lying on my deathbed going, you know what, I really wish I'd tried that one day. And it was that that kind of gave me that wake-up call to go, well, what's actually stopping me? And it was that it was like, well, actually, it's limiting beliefs, it's cultural expectations, expectations of others, all the usual things that we all suffer from. And I kind of went through this massive personal development journey over that period. I kind of started it a couple of years before, and it was like, well, actually, the only thing stopping me is me. So why am I not doing this? So I basically decided to change my life essentially, tap into passions that I'd had when I was younger, start doing a lot more writing, get involved in film and TV, which my first job was in 2021, and then also give back through my coaching and mentoring that I'm now doing through my other company. So hence the book that goes along with the coaching business as well.
So in your book then that's coming out, was it 2025 this year, you'll have the story of kind of what, how this changed your life so much, right? Because you went from the restaurant, I'm sure you're making good money doing that too, right? But
Yeah,
what did you have
it was
to,
doing well.
yeah, I'm sure you're doing very well, but did you have to do physical therapy to recover, or were you in the hospital for a while and then you came out and you were okay, or did you have part of the brain that you had to kind of retrain or rewire?
No, I definitely had to do some rewiring. My speech was slurred. I couldn't write.
Mm,
I could write, but you couldn't read it. It was chicken scratch. It was, and it took. I'd spent probably about 6 weeks, 8 weeks of actual physiotherapy, retraining the muscles to write, and I
mm,
got to a stage that they were happy that I could basically survive in the real world without any support. And
mm,
then it was then down to me to go on from there. But when I had the stroke, the whole right side of my body was basically weak and drooped. It was like I couldn't, speaking was not really very cohesive at the time. So I've
mm,
had to retrain that. And so there is a scar still inside the brain where I had the bleed, and that will always be there. That's what they say. But I had to rewire neurological pathways, retrain myself to do things because, even picking up a toothbrush just was a real challenge. And I'm fortunate that over that sort of year, I guess it took me, that I
mm,
rebuilt that back up. My right side, probably not as strong as it used to be, but I'm doing a physical training. I work with a trainer at the gym as well, so I'm constantly making sure my body is strong to I guess, prevent any weakness sort of creeping back in and fully retrain the brain to say, okay, you're back, you're normal now,
mm.
or as normal as you can expect to be. So,
Wow, wow. Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. So when you all this happened, like you got restaurants, you're going from 120 miles an hour, you're making a lot of money, successful in so many different areas, like, and then suddenly, boom, you hit, like this happens. How do you wrestle with all these thoughts, like your mindset? Where are you every day, right? You're trying to do these things. How did you get through that? Like for somebody listening who's in that situation right now, how did you make it through?
it's a very good question. I think it really comes back to that singular awareness of, my goodness, I'm alive, I'm still breathing, there is tomorrow. And it's really just getting through the day and just going, okay, I couldn't do what I was doing a week ago. And it's very frustrating and it's very annoying because it's suddenly a massive change. But there is hope, really. And there is a path. And I just need to keep going day by day, getting better and better, and just keep doing the work. Um, and it's a completely new paradigm of what I have to do in terms of not rushing about and going and visiting three different locations and then going here and meeting these clients and setting up that meeting and having these calls and doing an event and da da da. It's I need to figure out how to make lunch. um, I need to get through brushing my teeth over time. Again, retraining the neurological pathways. It all became back to normal, but it was just going, okay, adapt, carry on. Um, and I think that, again, that's part of my DNA as well, but it's something we all forget as humans, that we get so busy and wrapped up in our lives that we forget to have gratitude for the simple things that we have, like breathing, like the opportunity to go and sit in a coffee shop or have a conversation with a friend, which sometimes, and certainly during, my period of recovery, were foundational cornerstones of things to look forward to in the day, way beyond all of the other stuff that we do. And it was coming back to that essence of gratitude for the little things. And that's something I practice every day now. I have a gratitude practice, gratitude journaling, which I do normally at the end of the day, that I just go through and go, okay, what are the 3 or 5 things that I'm most grateful for today? It just reminds me and keeps me grounded.
Mm. It's fantastic, fantastic. Ed. It's very, very good. I think it's very encouraging to those whoever listening because some people like it's very tough to get through that. You know what it's like, but you got to hang on to it and know there is going to be tomorrow. And now you got to focus on brushing your teeth, eat your breakfast, and then move on. I had a neck injury that led to a head injury.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember reading about that from you. So yeah,
yeah, so it's like a similar thing where I was blindfolded for years. Go to the doctor, and my wife had to like hold my hand, take me into the urinal so I could take a piss. It was just
mm,
small stuff like that. And then going out in the sun as well. Like I'm so glad. Or just even looking at your family. You're like I have a 5-year-old now. So it's the
yeah,
small stuff like that that you appreciate when these things happen. But getting you through it, it's like you gotta have something to keep going. I think like you say, okay, this one lady, once she told me, she said, one day this will be a long and distant memory. And
mm,
my brain was stuck in like a panic. So I had like a full-on panic attack 24/7. So it was like couldn't snap out of it. But when she said that, that really helped me as well. That one day it would be a long and distant memory. And that's starting to become that now as well. So just kind of focus on getting what you need to do today and then moving on. And eventually, as you rewire your brain like you did with the different exercises, you get like nobody would know that you had these issues now. You've been
mm,
very, very fortunate and blessed, and it's just wonderful. So I'm just thankful. Every time I go out to be in the sun, I'm like, oh, I love it. Every time I get to play with my son and with his cars and stuff, I just like this is it's a blessing. So we're very fortunate. So yeah, very, very good. I would love to hear more about the coaching stuff that you do now. What does it look like? Like working with you, you can learn obviously public speaking, presenting. I saw you some life coaching type stuff, strategies, different things like
mhm.
that. Can you share a little bit about what does that look like if somebody listening, they're like, you know what, I want to work with Ed. What is it going to look like? Is it over Zooms? Is it in person, one-on-one? What does your coaching sessions look like?
Yeah, a lot of it, it's very, I call it holistic transformational coaching, because I've got a lot of experience, not just, the public speaking, but I've also got the business that I've run my own businesses for 15 years. I've had 2 rounds of investment to grow those businesses. I've worked in the internet business, management consulting. So I've got a lot of business parts as well. So sometimes I do business coaching. I've been helping a restaurant with some new product ideas, new branding ideas recently. I've also helped with people with limiting beliefs. But what I'm actually introducing this year is kind of an accountability loop because sometimes coaching can feel a bit fluffy. for some people. So while those sessions quite often are the most profound and transformational, because you go where you need to go to deal with the issues that need to be dealt with that are getting in the way of the person's transformation or ideal life that they want to achieve, having kind of an accountability loop really says, okay, I want to get here by this time, and we work through a process of whatever it takes to get wherever it needs to be. It could be as simple as developing the new business plan. It could be um, affecting why most of it seems to be around business at the moment. People come to me, I'm stuck in my business. What can we do? And it's quite often a limiting belief, maybe from childhood, that is seeping in. So you can start here and end up over here to actually go, well, the problem's over here, but you think the symptom's over here. So it's quite an organic process in the sessions. From an accountability point of view, it could just be simple check-ins every week. How's it going? Keeping up with, the to-do list, the wish list, that really, but then the goals and desires and passions, and really aligning everything you do to who you are as a person, who your values are, where you want to be, and how you see yourself. And I guess this is really reflecting my journey and that period of illness and reflecting on my own life of going, well, okay, these are my passions and values, but I'm doing this and I'm good at it, but it doesn't quite line up. So it's really getting that, I guess, take what I call taking a comb through your hair and taking all the knots out so that your hair is nice and smooth and straight and flowing. So I guess that's my analogy for the process.
That's good. And you got great hair. Like,
Thank you. Yeah, I
like
know there's a lot of it at the
and
moment.
when you have it all, that's like cool, man. Like super, super cool though. Yeah, no, that's really good. I think that, I go to a lot of these, we did different seminars and events, and we've all attended these things, but sometimes you're there from like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you leave, and then Monday is just, staying all the things that you learned, like applying it to your life and that accountability. I guess that's what you're talking about, because it's just very, very important, because a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, you have these great experience, but then it just kind of just fades away almost, and you kind of forget about it and you go back to regular life. So that's what you're talking about, right? Like having somebody connect with them, whether it's not every day, but like on a weekly basis, maybe, to kind of stay accountable. Like, hey, check in with you. Hey, how's it going on in this area? Are you developing? Are you growing? Are you aware of it? Are you working on it? Or what's going on? Is that kind of what it's like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the message is the environment is always stronger than you are.
Mm.
And that's exactly what you've just said. You go to this seminar, you spend 3 days with amazing people who are all on the same energy and on the same wavelength, and you're on top of the world. Everything's possible. The world is your oyster. You're going to go out there and kill it. And then Tuesday comes, and there's this requirement, and you need to do this with the family, and that needs to be done at work, and oh, you've got to go and take the car in for a service, and your environment seeps back in and says, no, you've got all this other stuff to do that you have no control over. But you have to do it now. And then that dream that you bought into, which is entirely possible, seeps into the background. And having that accountability, having that separate environment that keeps you at that same energy level where you can do it and you are capable of doing it, is exactly what you're saying. It just keeps you at that level of achievement. So
Yeah, I think that what you're doing is very, very important. Because there's so many people, you go to it and that's it. But if they can work with somebody on a regular basis and just get that feedback and input, or just even if it's just that text message, whatever it is, to be like, hey, I at least got something. So when that moment comes, we're like, I need to talk to somebody. You can like, okay, call somebody and kind of figure out a game plan for how to go about that. So that's some of the things that you do. Do you have a website, anything like people can sign up, or do they contact you on social media, or how do they get a hold of you for these things?
yeah, I mean, all of the above. I have a website which I'm just about to rebrand. So I'm happy to share the old website with you, which will repoint to the new one, or any of my social medias, which are all under the same banner, which is I am Ed Terry. So all of them, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it, they're all there.
Awesome.
Probably Google me and find me on the website, which is hologram.me.uk.
Awesome. I'll put all your links in the description so people can find
Amazing.
it. So you do the coaching, the personal development. Now you've been focusing more on that lately, but you also then do from your previous, all the experience you had within business. So if somebody has a design or product, or they want to know how to market it, or what strategies you use to maybe bring it to the market, then that's something they can work with you on that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And that kind of falls under the coaching side. So that's more the business coaching side. So I've got all that experience and just work with people on refining whatever it is they're going to do and take to market.
Mm. And that is it mostly people with product or restaurant because you have so much experience in restaurant. Which areas are most that you work? I'm assuming it's anyone, but what's the primary kind of area that you focus on?
Um, yeah, it's pretty flexible. I mean, at the moment, obviously restaurants, it just happens to be the client I'm working with. So, but it's been quite broad. I've looked at fashion, interiors, um, lots of things because there's a lot of transferable business acumen that works equally in different industries because there's some of, you know, the standard sort of business questions you need to be asking about a business to take it to a place where you need to take it. Now, I might not know specific details about textiles, interiors, property, or anything else like that, but there's a framework that sometimes gets overlooked um, because sometimes people get very focused on the technical skills of a particular thing and miss some of the more holistic business questions that need to be asked before you dive into the tactics. So,
Mm. No, that's very. I think it's important because I know speaking to somebody else, and they kind of say a lot of it is doesn't really matter the product or the company. If you go back, because you were talking about limiting beliefs as well, right? Like there are specific things that is going on in the mindset or the way the business is being run that it's very difficult to be aware of because when you're, day in, day out, you've been working this business, you've been working so hard for so many years, and you're just like, it's hard to see those things, to be aware of what's going on. You need somebody else from the outside to be like, hey, like this is it, like right here, you know? And I'm assuming that's what then you'd be able to go and it's probably very easy for you to be after a short conversation, you can probably be like, okay, hey, I think this is an area that we need to look into, right? What you would say is limiting belief, right? And then work on that.
no, absolutely. It's having that space to create objectivity, to step back and look at it from an outside point of view. And that is where the transformation often happens. You suddenly go, oh yeah, it's over there. Okay, that's what we need to look at.
Do you do also classes for like speaking or acting or how to be on stage, stage presence, all those things? Do you do those kind of sessions as well?
I haven't yet, but it is something that a few people have told me I should do. So I will be looking to create that and build that in. In fact, there's a 3-day program I'm working on, and there will probably be a module in there which is about confidence and presence because there's so much I've learned from acting um, that I now tell people just go take an acting class or two even if you're not interested in it, it will teach you so much about yourself that you probably didn't even know was there that you can benefit from in life. So I'm definitely going to be wrapping that into the future programs that I have.
Because when I was reading about it, that's the same thing I was thinking. Because of your background with acting and stuff, I was like, oh man, this would be so fun if you could put together a course that kind of combines that in a little bit to help people step out of their shell or just get more better experience on stage, like we were talking about earlier. Because I just think there's so much that you could help people like me or other people when it comes to, yeah, standing there in front of so many people and then being able to be aware of what's going on and deliver that, but then combining it to get people's attention. I just think like your acting abilities and would be really fun just to make it the fun experience because people want to be entertained as well. And it's not so easy. It's easy to get up there and just talk about blah blah blah, but to make it entertaining, to make it fun, you have to be a showman. You have to grab people's attention, and that's the part that actors do so well with the cameras or the people are looking at you. So if you can like find a way to help people tailor that and be like put on a make it kind of a fun show, like that would really make people stand out.
No, you're right. I
Mm.
mean, it's something I'm working on. So watch this space.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds very, very good. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Ed. I super appreciate it. This has been really, really wonderful. I feel like I just learned a lot and appreciate you taking time to do this and sharing your story because it's very, very powerful. And I'm excited about your book coming out and then this acting program, which I'd have to sign up on because I learned a ton from you.
Fantastic. Yeah, I have to go international with it and do it, take it on the road as well. That could be fun.
Totally
But
should.
no, I'm glad you have this opportunity, Bjorn. Thank you.
No, I totally think like here, everywhere in the world, like that would be, I don't know of anyone doing that. Maybe there are somebody doing it, but if you could put together something, just to help people stand out, because there's so many speakers, so many this and that. But
Mm.
I just think you'd be able to help people make a stronger impression or be able to make it more like entertaining and fun. So yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
I
be
think it should be. I've been to a lot of very boring seminars and speeches. I'm sure you have, but
I'm probably the one holding it, I'm just reading the script, so.
you,
Just
you're
kidding.
good. You have great energy. You have great presence. So, and
Uh,
that's half the thing. You second guess yourself. You have the presence. You have the smile. You have the warmth. So you've got it. You just lean into it.
cool, cool. Thanks, man. That's very, very encouraging. Well, everyone who's listening, you got to go check out Ed's book, check out his website, his coaching, and they can just, I'm assuming they can do it over Zoom. International students as well, or internationals from anywhere in the world can work with you. So very, very good. Cool. All right, Ed. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. You too. Have an amazing day. Take care now.
Bye bye.
See you soon.